Hi friends, Dean here with Escape to Gaming. Today I wanted to kind of go over E3. I'm a little bit late. It's actually the following week after E3, as I've been quite ill and just wasn't able to make a video. It just was kind of awkward. And people that followed me on Facebook have seen some of my opinions and views and observations that I've had about E3. I actually had a lot of work to do all last week, so I missed all of it. I mean, I even sat down to watch the live Mafia 3, and then I had something going on with a family obligation. I had to get up and leave. So, I mean, I missed virtually every live thing on E3, but I did watch lots of recaps, as well as a few other channels that had their, their observations on E3 and a few, I guess, points of view, So I've taken notes as to each of the press conferences and what I thought. Some games I'm very interested in. There's a few new developments overall, which I'll share with you. And I'll just quickly go through it and just give you my personal take on it, for whatever it's worth. You'd have an older gamer, I guess, but that likes playing single-player offline games, as many of you know. Some of the new viewers may not realize that I'm not real big on online multiplayer. I have lots of friends that do it, and I think it's great. I think they should have options and have MMOs and co-op, and multiplayer is fine, but they should always, not at the expense of a good single-player campaign. But anyway, I'll get on with this. I have just a couple pages of notes. First of all, EA, they showed a Titanfall 2, footage trailer. Obviously, it's a multiplayer game. They omitted single-player in the first one. I think because of all the backlash they got for it, they decided to put a single-player campaign in. I'm not interested because it's obviously it's a multiplayer game, and they're trying to get, if they had put one in the first one, I might have been a little bit more intrigued, but it's just not my thing. But for those that love Titanfall, it was real popular. Some people really liked it. Other people get bored with it fairly quick, apparently. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, it looks neat, we can jump into a mech and go nuts. So lots of sports games and FIFA games that EA showed. It's not my cup of tea either, but many people love those games, and will certainly be getting those. It's kind of a day one purchase. Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, I've never played the Mass Effect games. I've got a couple good friends of mine that just have raved about them. I've played them over and over and over. I played XCOM, the Bureau to Classify, which had a similar kind of a weapon wheel. We can bring up your powers and weapons, which I've heard is very much like Mass Effect. So I probably would like that, because I do love third-person shooters, and I like the whole space theme and the RPG elements of it. So I don't know if this will be more of the same or reboot or what, but it looks great. I love the gameplay footage, so I'll be keeping an eye on that. It's not something that it'd be kind of neat if they would do a remaster of the original Mass Effect games. Then it would give me a chance to play them for the first time on a PS4, which would be kind of cool. But they showed another game called FE, kind of a really vibrant, interesting platformer, and it looks cool. I love the colors, and I love platformers like that. That's something that I'm mildly interested in. I have to see more on it. More Star Wars Battlefront. Again, it's a multiplayer, game. Now, there's also rumors that Visceral Games is working on a really cool single-player campaign. Could be out in a couple of years. That I'm very interested in. Whether it's going to take place with the Force Awakens expanded universe stories that George Lucas didn't do, I don't know. I boycotted the whole Force Awakens. I could do an hour video on that. That's another long story, but I'll never watch it. To me, there's one author for Star Wars, and that's the original father of it, which is George Lucas. There's nothing against the people that wrote the different books, and I've read some of the expanded universe books when I was a kid. And then I would go to see the movie, and I'd get disappointed because I wouldn't see what was in the books. So I quickly dismissed the expanded universe books and all that. But I do like the Star Wars games, which are obviously, expanded universe. You're dealing with Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy and some of those wonderful games, or Knights of the Old Republic, which I'm anxious to play one of these days. Now, I heard they're even going to have possibly a remastered version of that. PC guys claim it's all for them only. I don't know, but I would be most interested in playing a remastered, Knights of the Old Republic on console. I think would be great. But anyway, there's Star Wars Battlefront. They got like a Bespin expansion map pack, which is great for my friends that want to, play multiplayer. It looks cool. I certainly love the Bespin levels on my Battlefront 1 and 2, which I've gone to many, many times. They're some of my favorite levels where I would just play against the bots for hours and hours and hours. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that. The Visceral Games single player, I'm very interested. I'll be watching that very closely, and it's certainly one I put a star by. Battlefield 1, I think it's novel that it's going to World War I because World War I hasn't been done before. I'm not a big fan of World War I. It's an interesting war in history, but the type of warfare that it was just very brutal. You know, lots of bayonets and trenches and knives, and it was a bloodbath war. Which is a shame. This world is just nothing but wars. It's all we seem to go through. And as I'm getting older, I have less tolerance and patience for warfare of any kind. But it is interesting to see it, you know, portrayed very well in this, you know, the trailer showing the blimps and the old World War I tanks. I'm not a big fan of the machinery either, the horseback and big clunky tanks and slow rate of fire weapons and all that. But for those that like it, it'll be interesting. That's something that if it's at $20 and it's a bargain bin a year later, I might pick it up and play the 4-hour, you know, 5-hour campaign or whatever. Maybe, but but for those of you that love Battlefield and want to do a big multiplayer deal, it certainly will be a hot seller for EA. Next is Bethesda. They started off with the Quake Champions, which is, again, multiplayer, online multiplayer. They did very well with Doom, so I'm not surprised. It's kind of cool they're bringing Quake back. I'd love to see like a remastered Quake 4. Would be great, kind of like what they did with the Doom BFG edition, you know, back in 2012 or whatever. That'd be fantastic. I would really welcome something like that. But, you know, it looks good. Quake Champions for my friends that love the multiplayer stuff. I think that'll be cool. They showed lots of Fallout 4 expansion packs and DLC. Most of it relates to the crafting and what have you. Which I'm not really into. That was my least favorite aspect of the game. I did it because I absolutely had to advance the levels in the main missions. It's interesting. I could see where people could go nuts and build a really cool settlement. That's another aspect of the game. It's just not my thing. I'm more into the story and just getting on with the missions and the shooting and all that. And the atmospheric environments I thought were really cool. But they had kind of a Nuka World thing they showed near the end that looks pretty interesting. I don't know if that'll be a big DLC expansion pack, another area in the map that suddenly appears. I don't know. I'm still very interested in getting the Far Harbor DLC. I haven't really had the money to get it yet, but I'd like to get that. I don't really want a season pass because I'm just not into a lot of the DLC and stuff, but I do like the Far Harbor. When ones are real meaty like that really add something to the campaign, I would be interested. And I might, you know, spend the money for it eventually, or maybe it'll be on sale on the PlayStation Store for the PS4. We'll see. But more Fallout 4 is good. You know, a lot of my friends love it. Speaking of another popular game, Skyrim Remastered. Now, I'm one of the few people that seems to like remastered games. I bought my father-in-law, you know, Skyrim on the PlayStation 3. I'm not really into the whole medieval thing and fighting with axes and bow and arrows and all that. For my friends that love it, this is a fantastic way to play the game. I mean, the graphics look so good. I was actually, for a moment, almost intrigued enough to think about buying one. But I played it. I watched my nephew play it for about 4 or 5 hours, and he loves it. He's put, God, hundreds of hours in the game. And it looked great to watch him play it. It was very entertaining. I could sit all day and watch him play. It's fun. But it's just not something that I like to partake in. I'm more of a Fallout 4 kind of person with guns and, you know, modding my weapons and all that. But I think it's a great idea for people who've never played it or want to play on a console. I think it'll have console mods, I guess, kind of like the PC. I think it's a great idea. They showed an interesting trailer for this kind of a Prey, you know, reboot. Now, I bought Prey for the Xbox 360, and I've seen reviews of it and trailers of it, but this looks very removed. It reminds me more of the old FPS. They showed early footage, which was canceled, of the XCOM, the Bureau Declassified. Initially there was a first-person shooter with this black thing that would materialize. And it had a lot of that. That's exactly what it reminded me of. It looks interesting, and I would keep my eye on that one, but we'll see. I mean, it's just not enough gameplay for me to really get interested yet. More Doom multiplayer and a possible VR thing. I don't know if the VR thing will kind of take you through the experience. You're free to just kind of wander around and search. I've heard rumors that if people go into VR with lots of jumping off from buildings and high-speed type stuff that you could become sick and nauseated. I don't know if that's true. With my back issues, I don't know that I could get into a big VR thing where I'm moving around a lot. I mean, I'm sitting upright on this chair now on pain meds, and I can do it, but I may have to pass on VR. I mean, I was very excited initially about it, and I would lean towards getting the PlayStation variation of it if I do get a VR deal. But I don't know. I'm nervous now. If I got to move around a lot, or all of a sudden, you know, twist a little too quickly because something's coming at me, I could jack my back up really bad. So I may have to pass on the VR. But for my friends who are excited about it, I think there was a lot of VR experiences that they showed. Especially Bethesda, they're working on new tech all the time with John Carmack, especially coming on board. I'm not surprised. So, but you know, the Doom, more multiplayer map packs for my friends. I guess that's good. If you're into that, that's fine. Again, it's just online. Getting to which is the Elder Scrolls Online. Now they refined it. Maybe they've got new ways of playing it. Now you don't have to grind for hundreds of hours to level it. You can just jump right in and go anywhere you want. You can play at the level that you're at, which is interesting, probably because the game didn't do real well, and it's kind of way they can kind of get people back into the game again. But again, it's not my thing or setting, but for those that like it, that's cool. And then Dishonored 2. Now, I have the definitive edition of Dishonored, the first one for the PlayStation 4, and I actually pre-ordered the game for the Xbox 360 and even have the strategy guide. I got the tarot cards down here on my shelf. I played like the first level or so of it, where he gets out of prison and goes around and there was like a slight teleportation, you know, gimmick in it and stuff. The graphics look really cool. It wasn't my favorite period that it took place in, but the art style was quite nice, and I'm anxious to play, which is why I bought the definitive edition, because it has all the DLC and it's even, you know, improved frame rate, what have you. So. The Dishonored 2 one, I put a check next to that. That's one of the first games, really, I've talked about that I put a check mark next to, that I would definitely be interested in. And apparently you can play as either, you know, the girl character, or the guy Corvo, whatever his name is. So I like the ability where you can pick and choose. You can play a male character or a female character. I'll be talking about a game a little later. More about that, because I'm not into playing as a girl. When I was a kid, I didn't, you know, try my sister's dresses on. I'm just not into it. No offense if that's what you're into or you like playing as a girl. People like to experience games, you know, as different things as aliens. That's why I like the Mass Effect game. I know that you could play as an alien or as a woman or as a man. You can do whatever you want. And for those that like to escape for those reasons, I validate their reasons. It gives you a chance to live outside of yourself and see what it's like to try different things. It's just not my thing, personally. I go in to be Duke Nukem and Duke Nukem Forever. Or I'm a colonial marine when I'm in Aliens or something. I like to play as, you know, the macho male military type character, Captain Price, what have you. That's just how I am. But for those of you that want to do that, that's fine. But the main thing that I was getting to is that Dishonored 2 gives you the option, which I like. It's like if we had that option, you know. It was nice playing, you know, as Franklin and GTA 5, and then playing as, you know, the Michael and Trevor. It's kind of neat to try different characters, and I'm all for that, trying a variety of them within a story. Certainly I love the Lara Croft series since the mid to late 90s, and I've played all of them, and I love them, the Lara Croft games. That's the only game I've ever played as a female, just because I was bored with games at the time. I played everything on the PS1. So Tomb Raider was, well, like Duke Nukem, Time to Kill. Platforming and shooting, very much like that, 3D Realms, and so based on that, that's why I played that game. And to this day, love it. I'm anxious to play the new Tomb Raider once it comes on the PS4. So anyway, that was a Bethesda conference. Ubisoft had an interesting conference. They started right off with this Ghost Recon Wildlands. Now, I have all the Ghost Recon games for the original Xbox, and I've got some of the Rainbow Six games, which I haven't played yet. I'm anxious to for the Xbox 360. They had a new Rainbow Six game, but again, it was multiplayer only, online only, so I passed on that. But this Ghost Recon Wildlands, even though it's really set up as a 4-player co-op, they stated there will be an offline single-player mode for the game, which is good. So I don't know how well balanced it'll be, as the game obviously is designed for co-op, but I love it. The big open world, I like that concept of going in and fighting, these cartels or whatever, and taking them down. I really am very intrigued. There's a definite check mark next to the Ghost Recon Wildlands. I think it's coming out, I think the beginning of next year, I believe, but I'm not sure on that. There's a South Park game. I'm not into South Park. I know lots of friends love it, and that's great. For you that love that game, there's more South Park coming. The Division, there's a couple expansions apparently on that. Again, more online multiplayer. A great concept. I'd be all over. Everything's about multiplayer. Or it's single-player games I'm not really into. So I have to, very few of these I actually put a check mark next to, which is sad. There's an Eagle Flight VR thing where I think it's like a multiplayer game where you can fly as an eagle, and that I actually kind of like. It was cool. Whether it's an online only game, I don't know, but it looks like kind of a multiplayer game, so I probably won't play that. Star Trek VR, it's another multiplayer co-op game. I'd give anything for a Star Trek game where you could especially be on the bridge of the Enterprise and maybe switch between different roles, kind of like GTA 5. That would be very cool, but it's all about multiplayer. And that was my initial vibe when I first watched all of this and crammed it in a day or so, is it was just multiplayer, co-op, co-op, co-op. I mean, that's like the future of gaming, is this online community, and I'm not into it. I did it in 2011 and 12 for a little while, and I just burned out. I never want to see online multiplayer again, with racing games especially, or anything. For me personally, it was a disaster, but I have friends of mine that they live for it, and if you love it, that's great. I mean, I'll tell you one thing, if you're into multiplayer, this was the E3 for you, because you get a lot of it coming. So the Star Trek thing looks cool, especially with VR. I can see the appeal definitely for that. I think that'll sell VR like hotcakes. If Sony especially could make an affordable VR thing with Star Trek, it'll be great, but it looks like it's all about multiplayer, so I won't touch it, sadly. For Honor, which is an interesting looking, kind of a Vikings and, different, warriors. You play against different types of warriors, against the Japanese type of warriors, the Nordic warriors, and what have you. Another big multiplayer game. Maybe it'll have, single player, I'm not sure. But it looks like an online game, and a lot of Ubisoft is famous for online only type games, so I'm nervous about that. It's not my thing, that period, but it looks good. The graphics do look good on it. Trials Blood Dragon. Now I love the Trials. The Trials Fusion, Evolution, and Trials HD on my Xbox Live Arcade, and they're fantastic games. The vibrant colors looks nice. It's trying to be too hipsterish for me personally, so I'm probably going to pass on this particular one. But I do like the vibrant colors, and it's interesting to I think it's out right now. You can play it right away. Watch Dogs 2, I saw some initial beautiful footage of San Francisco. I mean, I love the city, and we go there, a couple times a year. It's about 90 minutes away. So for that reason alone, I was initially quite interested. But then once I saw E3 gameplay and just heavy hacking, it's all about hacking. The reason why I like Grand Theft Auto 5 or any of the Grand Theft Auto games is they're kind of like real life. You can kind of jump into cars and steal them, and conventional weapons, and there's no hacking. And I hate hacking. I hate the whole concept of it, which is why I avoided the first Watch Dogs. I have friends that love Watch Dogs and are very excited about this one. If the hacking doesn't turn you off from the game, the major hipster vibe probably will. But again, some people are that age where they love it. That's where they are, in their mindset. So if you're into the hipster thing, I guess that's cool. San Francisco graphics do look very nice. Then they showed the Steep game, which was one of the first games that I go, oh, this looks fantastic. I love the snowboarding, the wingsuit thing. I mean, all of it is perfect. I've been dying for like a Stoke Big Air Edition or SSX game, but it's an online-only, server-based throwaway game. When you're done with it, throw the fucking coaster across the room, and it's no more. So I'll sadly pass. I get infuriated when it's a game that I see that I would like, God, it has me all over it, but it's all about multiplayer and co-op and with your friends and servers and here today and gone tomorrow. I like a game that I can put in now or years later. Here's Burnout, which I just bought recently, Burnout Revenge. And I have the original Xbox version of Burnout 3 Takedown too. This is a game I can still put in and play. You can't say that about Steep. I'm sorry, you just can't say it about some of these new games. So if you're into the flash in the pan, here today, gone tomorrow thing, and many people are, otherwise they wouldn't be selling them so much, then it's a great deal. But sadly, I will steer clear of that one, unfortunately. I'll get on with the Microsoft conference, which I was kind of hesitant to watch. Oh God, it'll just be more Xbox One, online. And Microsoft is real big about online multiplayer games. If you're a multiplayer online gamer, then you should get an Xbox One, because it really is tailor-made to be in touch with your friends and the achievements and jump in, jump out, seamless co-op. Everything is about multiplayer, which for me I'm not. But I actually, surprisingly, I forced myself to watch the conference anyway, because I love the original Xbox, and especially the Xbox 360s. I just bought another brand new. I have 2 new Xbox 360Es, one with a 320 gig hard drive, and then one with a 500 gig hard drive, which I'll be opening for Christmas. But they talked about the Xbox One Slim. Now, what got my attention was not the 2 terabyte hard drive, although that's nice. It's nice to have the additional storage, and they'll have different models of 500 gigabyte, I think a 1 terabyte and a 2 terabyte one. But in eliminating the power brick, frankly, I'd be nervous about the thing overheating without the power brick. But if they feel confident the thing will run for 7 hours straight without overheating, then maybe they got something. Maybe they got a new fan or something that makes it work. I'm not big on the white. I'll tell you right now, I hate white consoles. I never bought a Wii initially for that reason, and I wouldn't even buy an Xbox 360 initially because I hated the whites. When they came out with the black Elite, I just jumped on it like I go for jumping into a hole, and I just couldn't wait to get the black one. But maybe they'll have different colors. I don't know. And I've heard that the controller may not come with it, or it might. So the one for $299, maybe the controller doesn't come with it. I don't know. I don't mind that. I mean, because I hate white controllers. I will get one, even if it's white, but I will immediately take the white controller and take it into GameStop and get 2 cents on the dollar and trade it towards a black one, just because I want a black controller. But I think even the new controllers are like Wi-Fi, and you can play it with your PC and everything. So there's a lot of refinements. 40% smaller. The white, which I'm not a fan of. It does look nice, and I like the original look of the original Xbox One. Looks fine. I never had an issue with that or the controller. Just the Force Connect thing initially, but God, for $299 you can get something. And what I like about it the most is that it's got a little bit more power, and so it plays. You can play 4K Blu-rays that have HDR capability. Now, what is HDR? HDR is high dynamic range. Now, when I bought my 4K TV, I just said, "Oh, it's 4K," and the guy's telling me, "Well, this is the best one that Samsung makes." So you get the special ability to have expanded colors. And so when I first bought that in 2015, HDR wasn't like a label, it was on every box, but now that's how they label them. Well, HDR is fantastic. In fact, I recently discovered that there was a setting which I didn't even know. I've had the TV exactly a year, and I just now discovered a special HDMI setting where you get the full range of colors, and my God, you can see, instead of seeing 17 shades of red, now you're seeing 217 shades. So it's amazing, and I've been sitting watching these really high quality Blu-rays I have. Like I watched the Blade Runner again recently, just last weekend, and that high dynamic range, and my God, the neon and the colors. I mean, you feel like you're really there. It's something the human eye can detect thousands of colors, but when typically games and movies and 1080p Blu-rays, that's kind of glossed over, and you see what the cameraman or the film director sees. But with HDR, you see the full spectrum of colors, and it makes it much more lifelike. So this was the biggest selling point to me. So now, for the first time, I'm actually going to buy an Xbox One Slim, just the 500 gigabyte one, just for the Forza Horizon 3, which the trailer looked awesome. I initially was very excited about the crew because I like this open world and you can go drive from coast to coast. The concept is great, but because it's another online server-based throwaway coaster, I boycotted it like I do every server-based game, because to me, if a game is worth playing, it's worth replaying, and it's worth having in a collection. Not to have it, and then, one day, God, I want to play that game again, and you open the game up, put it in, and it doesn't play. All the servers or this game is no longer, you know, available because it's off a server. They're just no longer there, and it doesn't work for me. I'm just not into it. So, but I do like the concept of the crew, and they had this, you know, expansion pack for the crew where you can go off road and go across country. So I think that, you know, Microsoft is seeing that, and they're making Forza Horizon where we can go off road more. I noticed that with the, you know, Forza Horizon 2, which I've been playing again recently on my Xbox 360. And I've had a lot of fun with it. I've been replaying the missions all the way from the beginning. And I also bought the brand new, you know, for $10. I could have downloaded it free when I had the chance, but I didn't. I got the expansion pack. It's actually another whole game, standalone game off Xbox Live Arcade for the Xbox 360 or for the Xbox One, and that's the Fast and Furious one. And it's awesome. I love that. You know, driving Dom's Charger with the blower whining and wide open is fantastic. And I've been playing that quite a bit lately and having fun with it. Small, you know, duration. So the Forza Horizon 3 is exciting because I love Australia. I actually thought of moving there in the late 80s. I had a friend of mine that invited me to move there with him as a fellow sign painter, get a 6-month visa, and I was hoping to settle down there and, you know, maybe marry someone there and move to Australia, but it never materialized. One of those long pipe dreams of the 80s. But I was very excited to see this kind of down under theme to it with a world that's, you know, more than twice the size of the Forza Horizon 2, which is a pretty good sized map. Or Forza Horizon, the first one, which is really my favorite. So, and I was very excited with this, and I love the trophy trucks, kind of like what they have in Dirt 2. They've got those raid trucks, you know, big Chevy trucks with the big fenders and the Hemi Dodge trucks and all that are kind of off-road, you know, Desert Baja, you know, 5,000 type trucks. I love that aspect of it, and the cars. And not only that, but the game is actually made in it with a high dynamic range of colors. So if you have a 4K TV that has the HDR capability, you'll be able to play a game that'll look almost lifelike. So this was what got me excited. All of a sudden, I kind of came to life during the Xbox conferences and the segments that I had watched on it. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm getting an Xbox One Slim, and I'm hopeful that the driver tars, and I asked my friends who were at E3, they checked, said, no, unfortunately, the driver tars are still here with this one. They aren't optional. You're forced to have them. But I'm hoping, like Forza Motorsport 6, there will be a slider where you can adjust them and turn them way down to where they're not aggressive and all over the road and smashing into guardrails and all that. So, based on the fact that I can play it offline, and I may have to just, you know, take it up the ass with the driver tars. I hate them. I boycotted the every Forza on the Xbox One and the Xbox One because of these damn goofy driver tars. I've sent Turn 10 Studios a couple tweets. Please make the driver tars optional. Don't force them on us. This is the reason why I haven't bought an Xbox One. But, you know, I don't want to get all worked up with that. But anyway, the Forza Horizon 3 looks fantastic. The graphics will be mind-blowing. So I'm getting the little Slim with a small gigabyte hard drive just for Forza. And I might get Forza 6 where I can adjust the sliders on that as well. So just for those 2 games alone, and that's it. And then down the road, if they make any other, you know, iterations of Forza, I'll get those. They talked about the Scorpio later. Now, initially I was confused. I'm like, okay, so do I go down and buy an Xbox One now to play this new Forza Horizon coming out, or do I wait and get the Slim, or do I wait another year and then get the Scorpio? I'm confused because it has 4K, and maybe it'll be 4K native with the HDR as well. So it's kind of a confusing message that Microsoft, in my opinion, was sending with it. But for me, I don't care about the Scorpio because I'm getting the Neo, or the Sony's variation, which hopefully will have native 4K and just play a better looking games, hopefully with a high dynamic range. And that's really what my impetus is for getting the Neo. But I'm very excited about a $300 Xbox. Again, I don't know if the controller's included or not. I'll have to buy a controller on top of that. And then the game. So for 400 and some odd bucks, I'm going to have my what I'm going to call the F-Box 1S, which will be just for Forza. And that's fine. I'll find a place for it in my little cubby in my TV console. And I'll finally have an Xbox One. I'm going to purge all my Xbox friends off there, so I don't want to see anyone's drive avatars on it. That's one of the things that bugged me about the Most Wanted in 2012 Need for Speed. Is I'm driving down the road and all of a sudden I got my friend's, my avatar face is plastered on every billboard. And instead of concentrating on the races, now I'm forced to do a speed trap challenge or see how far I can jump my car, because now I'm obsessed with, I got to beat that thing. Every time I go by the billboard, I feel, compelled that I've got to stop what I'm doing and beat that challenge. I had the same problem with some of the Need for Speed Rivals and other games as well. So there's more of this online emphasis, but I'm purging all my friends off Xbox Live, and I'm hoping the Drivatars will just be like regular AI. That's what my goal is, but we'll see. But I am very excited about the Microsoft conference for the Forza Horizon 3. It looks fantastic. It looks like a gorgeous game, and a wide array of cars and muscle cars and supercars and trucks and dune buggies and the whole deal. So I'm very excited. That's going to be a great game. That's worth getting an Xbox One S, in my opinion. Gears of War 4. If you love Gears of War, it looks gorgeous. I mean, the weather effects and the winds and a lot of crazy weather effects. So it looks nice. Now, I don't know if any of these other newer games will have this HDR capability like Gears, but they might. I could see Microsoft kind of putting that into a lot of their games. So if you have a 4K TV with that HDR, it might behoove you to get the games that have that ability. So Gears is not my thing, but it looks good. Recore, it looks like kind of a Destiny thing. I'm just not into that, but for those that are into it, that's fine. Background music will be available on the Xbox One, probably a firmware update or something. Now that I like, and I use my Xbox 360 and even my original Xbox, I rip CDs in it, and I like to play my own music, so I think that's awesome. That was one of the 3 biggest things that people wanted for the Xbox One, so I'm glad that they're going to implement that. This med's dehydrate me. I've got to drink lots of fluids. Minecraft VR. I'm not into Minecraft at all. Why go backwards to pixelated little cubes and everything? I don't know, but Minecraft is very popular. I could see it being interesting in VR, so if you're into that, that's great. We Happy Few is kind of a strange dystopian George Orwell's 1984. You take these pills. If you don't take your meds, you see reality as it really is. It's interesting. I would like to see more on that. It has an interesting art style, interesting thing. Tekken versus Street Fighter, again, more multiplayer. If you're into fighting games, you'll probably love that. Dead Rising 4, which is going to be a timed exclusive this time around for the Xbox One. What's funny is that when I first saw the early Dead Rising 1 ads, that was one of the big reasons why I wanted an Xbox. I said, oh, well, look, zombies in a mall, just like Dawn of the Dead. And that's all I thought about. But then once I got an Xbox and I saw how kind of cartoony it was, and especially with, by then Dead Rising 2 had just come out, and it looks, if you're into the, like the, what's it, Saints Row, with the kind of cartoony purple dildos and crazy clowns, and you're firing, pies in the face of zombies or whatever. I mean, it's not my thing. I like more of a very somber, serious zombies. So to me, it's not my kind of a thing. So if you're into Dead Rising 4, which a lot of people are, the graphics do look good. If you're into that kind of a cartoony zombie apocalypse thing. Scalebound, kind of a dragon thing, hack and slash maybe. It's not my deal, but looks good for those that like it. Sea of Thieves. Now, Sea of Thieves look fantastic. I love the art style. The water effects look great. The pirate ship, an open world pirate ship. But it's another online server-based game. Again, it just never ends. So a big co-op game where you can work as a team and, keep the pirate ship going. One guy's patching holes and other guy's putting a sail up and the guy's at the helm or whatever. Great graphics, but another multiplayer heavy game. State of Decay 2, the graphics look good. I don't know if that's a server-based multiplayer game. It does look good. They've had problems with it when their game first came out, but it looks like one of the better zombie games. But again, it looks like another heavy server-based multiplayer game, so I'll probably steer free of that one. Halo Wars 2, more multiplayer. And then they talked a lot about the Scorpio. Huge, powerful thing, probably 4K native. Obviously, would be really capable for VR. So for those that are interested in the future of the Xbox One, it looks like you can, hold out for the Scorpio. Getting on to Sony, Start off with the big God of War thing. I've never played a God of War game. It's just that whole period. I'm just not really into it. Mythological Greek, gods and creatures. It's kind of interesting, but I've had friends that, oh, Dean, you love it. It's gory and it's very adult-like. And for that aspect, I probably would like it. And the demo looked interesting. More of a third-person Lara Croft Tomb Raider type thing compared to seeing the little guy with the giant, boss battles or whatever. But if you're into God of War, it looks good. Then they showed this Days Gone trailer, which I'm really excited about. It looks very much kind of like an Uncharted, Last of Us kind of style. Third-person shooter. I'm very interested. Kind of like a biker guy. I guess his guy's wife dies or his old lady dies, and you're just surviving against hordes of infected humans or zombies or whatever they are. It looks really intense. I'm very interested. I put a little check mark definitely next to that one. The Last Guardian will be out in October. Finally, every E3 they show it. It's finally coming out for those that are into that. I'm not personally. Then they showed the Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, I've been following this because I like the Guerrilla games, and the Killzone games look awesome. It looks fantastic. I think it's an interesting dystopian future, but instead of cities, it's more like you're out in the country, and mankind's pretty much gone, but there's now those big robotic dinosaurs and all that. It's an interesting premise. The graphics look fantastic. I know many of my PlayStation friends in particular are looking forward to it. I just don't want to play as a redhead girl. Why can't we have like a girl and her brother, let's say? Just give people an option to where you're not locked into playing, and I got to play the new Tomb Raider game as it is. So to me, I've had my quota for the year playing as a woman. I won't buy it based on that. I know that it would cost more to develop the animations for a second male character, but in this age of customization and options, I just don't know why they force you into something like that. It's just, it's just not my thing. But the graphics do look good, and I'm sure it'll sell well. Detroit Becomes Human, a David Cage game. It looks interesting. Not my thing. Kind of like the Groundhog Day, where you can relive things or maybe go back and change the way that you do things. I could see there a lot of replayability value in that. It's not my deal. Resident Evil 7, for those that love all of the Resident Evil games. I only like the first two. I never like the other ones that are more action-oriented, but this looks like a return to survival horror. It says VR. I don't know if you're forced to play it in VR or not, but for my Resident Evil friends, that'll be a lot of pull. And if it is a VR game, I could see that selling being a reason for people to buy VR. Farpoint looks very interesting. I like the kind of the Martian setting, the nice crisp graphics and FPS, and it's you and one other person on a planet, whether it's single player or multiplayer, I don't know. Is it off a server? Is it off disk? I don't know, but it looks good. I'd like to see more on that. Star Wars Battlefront X-Wing VR. That'll sell VR, I could see that. That looks pretty cool. I just don't know if I can do a VR deal. Batman Arkham VR, more VR. Final Fantasy 15, the game itself is coming out, which a lot of people, I've never played a Final Fantasy game, it's just not my thing, but if you're into that kind of hacking slash type deal, RPG deal, I guess it'll be a lot of people looking forward to that. And I think it'll be available in VR as well, or some form of it in VR. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, another modern, futuristic, sci-fi type deal. I mean, it's just not Call of Duty if it's not conventional warfare for me, but whatever. I mean, if these people will buy it, I guess it'll have Modern Warfare 4 or something, or Call of Duty 4 or whatever, remastered. So if you're into that, you got to pay more to get it, but I played it. I have the Xbox 360 version, which plays fine. I have no need to play a remastered version of that. I haven't bought the last couple Call of Duties. When they got into this you're jumping on, science fiction guns and weapons. It just went way too out there. I mean, Call of Duty Ghost was kind of that was the last one I bought and played, and I did enjoy that. And that was kind of getting crazy, but futuristic a little bit, but it was interesting. There's a Lego Star Wars game. If you're into Legos, which I'm not, then that'll be great. Kojima's got this Death Stranding game, which they showed a little bit of CGI scene from it, which then they're going to scrap and redo it because they haven't even picked a game engine yet for the game. So who knows when that'll be out, years from now probably. But it looks interesting if you're into those really strange, they don't make sense, Kojima type games, which I'm not personally. Spider-Man, that looks really good. I'm not into this. I like Dredd. I like the Dredd movie, and I like Judge Dredd, and I love Batman, but those are like the only comic book characters I could ever get into. The Punisher as well. I'm not really into the Spider-Man and all of this Fantastic Four type deals, but the graphics look great. This looks like it's kind of a standalone Spider-Man game. I don't know if it's tied to a film or not, but graphics do look good. And then they're going to have a Crash Bandicoot remaster. They're going to take Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3. I don't know if they're going to completely redo them, because you know the first one's off a PS1 game, so I don't know how they're going to look, but I could see them selling a lot of those, and maybe if they do well, then maybe they'll make a new Crash Bandicoot. I don't know, but that seems to be well received. And then basically there's 3 games that were mentioned around E3, but these are the ones that I have all check marks by and that I'm saving for last, and that's Mafia 3. Now Mafia 1 I played on the original Xbox. It didn't play as well as it did on the PC, but it was a lot of fun. And I love Mafia 2. In fact, I started replaying it again last year and loved it. And they're going to even bring Vito back, but much older, in the late 60s, in 1968. Kind of a volatile 60s in the South. It's very interesting. You play like a mixed race, half black, half white, Vietnam vet, coming back from the bloodbath that Vietnam was. It looks very interesting. I love the trailers and gameplay. The game almost looks like an Xbox 360 open world game. It's almost like going back a couple years in gaming, but to me, I like that. I have no qualms with that whatsoever. It reminds me very much of The Godfather, where there were different, mob hangouts, and you could take down each of the neighborhoods by taking over there's different speakeasies or what have you. It's the same concept with this. So it's like throwing GTA 5 in a blender with, The Godfather. And even The Godfather 2, how you can have a crew and make your crew and then assign different regions or districts to certain guys, and depending on how you do it, there could be repercussions that may come to your way or not. It may not be a good idea. I don't know, but it looks really cool. I'm very excited about Mafia 3. That's the one game I'm definitely getting this year. Sniper Elite 4, I saw more great gameplay. I love the first Sniper Elite on the Xbox. I especially love the V2, which was the hardest one, I think, of all of them. And Sniper Elite 3, I did a review and did some gory gameplay montages of that. I'm going to have a lot of fun with Sniper Elite 4. So I'll definitely get that, Mafia 3. And the final one is Gran Turismo Sport, which I've seen just a couple trailers, a little bit of gameplay. It looks very sterile like all of the other Gran Turismos, but it looks like a really serious, straightforward sim, and it looks like you can play it offline as well, which is my big concern. I don't like the drive-atars and all the online gimmicks, so I will get that as a PlayStation owner because I'm just starving for a racing game, which is one of the reasons why I'm going to actually pick up an Xbox One Slim. Just to play that Forza Horizon, because I love the Forza. I might even get Forza Horizon 2. Let me see what I can research about the drive-atars, and if I can turn them off or adjust them, then I might even get the second one as well, even though I've been playing it on the 360. But that's my E3 impressions. Something for everyone. I think that it was a good E3. I was more enthusiastic about this one than I was over last year's. A couple of my friends were there in person, which was kind of neat to see their daily little blogs on it on Twitter and what have you. And I had two friends that were at E3 that I'd say, hey, check on the drive-atars for me. See if you can play the new Forza Horizon 3 offline, and they would go and ask questions and then fire back on Facebook, yeah, Dean, you can play it offline, but the bad news is they got the drive-atars or what have you. So it was neat. It was a fun one to follow. Unfortunately, like I said, I had to watch recaps. I couldn't sit at home and take a day off and watch it. I was working on these cabinets on the premises as well as in my garage, and then bidding on a lot of jobs too. It's been kind of a chaotic time, but and I've been sick. I've been weaning down off my opiates, my pain pills, substantially, going from like 6 a day down to just 2. And went a little too fast, and I've been just like violently ill. It's just been a horrible experience, like a nightmare at night, and hot and cold sweats, and it's god awful. But it is what it is. I mean, I'm trying to get off them because I know they're not healthy to be on. I've been on for way too long. My back is still tough for those who've been asking about it. It's still worse than it was before the surgery, but I'm working anyway. I have to. I have another big job on the 30th I'm bidding on from a repeat customer. I'll probably get it. And I'm also applying for school districts and some aerospace jobs. Painting, one of them is painting stripes and big registration numbers on Lear jets and twin-engine Beechcrafts and helicopters and stuff like that. It's a good paying job, and they're willing to train. So I've got some resumes I've been sending out. I haven't worked for someone for over 20 years. It's been a long time, but I'd like to. I need to get a job where I just can just get a regular paycheck and benefits and pay into Social Security and all that as I'm getting older. So that's what's up with that. I've been playing a little bit of Dirt Rally. I put two video clips up on Facebook. I barely played. I've done like 6 races and that's it. But I'm picking it up quick. This is a fantastic game. Highly recommended. And then I took a bunch of PS3 games and traded them in for this $40 Dead Island Definitive Edition, which looks fantastic. On the PS4, you have to download the Dead Island Riptide digitally for some reason. On the Xbox One, supposedly it'll play off the disc. It's kind of odd. It has a little arcade game in there too, which is kind of retro style, little 2D scroller. It's kind of cool. But man, the graphics on this look great. I haven't got into it yet. I can't game for more than like an hour or so, so I have to be very careful. I did get this Burnout Revenge recently, really dirt cheap. They had a sale at GameStop. These games were just a few bucks each. Birds of Steel I've always wanted, World War II game. There's a lot of DLC for this as well. I'm anxious to play that, but I've been mostly playing this Forza Motorsport 2, just slowly going through and grinding on the races. And I love this. This has been so much fun. So playing, the Forza Horizon 2 on the Xbox 360 and then Forza 2 on the 360, I've just been dying to play one of these newer Forza with even better graphics and the high dynamic range of colors. And so for the first time, I'm going to, break my 3-year boycott on the Xbox One and get one just for that. I also, for $40, got used all of the Star Trek movies, the motion pictures, all 6 films. And there's a 7th disc that has like a 70-minute interview with the Next Generation Captain Patrick Stewart. And the original series, has William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy right before he passed away. So it's a great, great concept for $40. A huge box set of all of these Star Treks, which I'm really excited about. I've only watched the first movie so far, but I've been going through and watching all of the behind-the-scenes special features on each of the films. Just been really entertaining. So thanks for watching, guys. That's my E3 thing. Those are my future plans. I definitely will be getting the Xbox One Slim. I'll have to, save the money for it. It's going to take me a while to get it. And I will get the Forza Horizon 3. The Neo I'm very interested in, but I'm going to have to wait until I have the money for that, obviously. For Christmas, I'll be unboxing. It's actually sitting down here. It isn't even gift wrap, but it's all closed up in the box. I've got the 500 gigabyte Xbox 360e, which I'll have for Christmas. My wife bought me. And that's it. I've been getting a few gifts. My good buddy Ben from the UK sent me Miami Vice and Conan. It's a UK version. I got to get my Xboxes modded so I can play that. And that's a goal that I still would like to do by Christmas if I can. My good buddy Clint can mod that Xbox for me. Be pretty cool. But E3, there's something for everyone. I'm definitely into the games that I mentioned. I'm very interested in. There's 5 or 6 here that look good. So there's something for everyone. I would like to see more, single-player offline games naturally, but we'll see. So far, it's still games on disc. I'm hoping it's going to be it'll continue for some time, but who knows? If it doesn't, then I can, just play the consoles and games that I do have in my collection. So I hope you all enjoyed E3, and I hope you enjoyed my take on it. Thank you very much for watching and for all the heavy support that I've had. I really do appreciate it. It's been a very tough time, and I've got a long ways to go, but I'm just happy to have the support system at home and with my good friends on YouTube and on social media. So I do appreciate it. Thanks for watching, guys, and enjoy your games and make the most of your life and enjoy life each day. Thanks for watching.